So I'd like to welcome everyone that has just joined. This is the European City Network webinar on housing, which is hosted by European Capital of Democracy with the City of Bologna and the City of Linz. So we have Gualdi from the City of Bologna joining us and Hanna Mayrhofer from the City of Linz, and they'll be sharing some best practices with us today. Before we move on to the presentations from our speakers, I would just like to briefly walk you through the agenda. So a short arrival and welcome, an introduction. I'll describe a little bit about the European Capital of Democracy initiative and the flagship events that we do. Following then will be the City of Bologna's presentation and the City of Linz's presentation. After both speakers have concluded their presentations, there will be an opportunity for you to join breakout rooms where both cities and both speakers are available to answer any questions that you might have. And you'll be free to switch between the breakout rooms. We won't assign you to one, so you can choose which one you would like to attend. And at the very end, there'll be a summary and a feedback round and an outlook. So when the next webinar will take place, for instance. This webinar is, as I mentioned, on housing, and it explores how European cities are reimagining housing and balancing social affordability and climate-neutral transformation. As I mentioned, 2 member cities will share their best practices, namely the City of Bologna and the City of Linz. A little bit about ECoD, if you have not heard about it already. The European Capital of Democracy Initiative is a non-profit organization founded in 2021 by the Innovation in Politics Institute, which is a Europe-wide organization dedicated to improving politics. ECoD's mission is to promote democratic governance and to strengthen social cohesion by fostering and expanding participation and awareness across the Council of Europe member states and Kosovo. For this purpose, a European Capital of Democracy is designated every year. Once a city is designated as European Capital of Democracy, it hosts a democracy year or a program year. So in cooperation with civil society and citizens, the designated city will then organize and implement this program year, featuring a wide range of activities and events. And our European Capitals of Democracy, we've got Barcelona in 2023 to 2024. There was Vienna, 2024 to 2025. Cascais is the European Capital of Democracy 2026, so it's the current Capital of Democracy, and Brussels is going to be the upcoming one in 2027, which we announced in early April. So congratulations again to the City of Brussels. So as I mentioned, the designated cities that carry this title of European Capital of Democracy, they host flagship events, the Democracy Year. So these 3 events that you see listed on my screen right now, the ACNAMES Conference, the Innovation in Politics Awards, the Truth, Lies and Democracy's Game Jam, these are all events that take place in the Democracy Year. And I've written down the dates, which will be when these conferences are taking place in the European Capital of Democracy 2026 in Cascais, Portugal, with the very next event happening next week, actually, so on the 11th of May. Which we're all very much looking forward to. And all the cities that apply for the title of European Capital of Democracy, they automatically join the European City Network. And as of now, we have 27 member cities from 15 European countries. You can see the map. I think it's being hidden a little bit, but you can see the map of the cities and how they're spread throughout Europe, which is a quite impressive number. So the European City Network is ever growing, and we welcome the newest members that joined in this cycle. Now, that was it from my side, from the European Capital of Democracy, and a description about it. As I mentioned, our speakers will be Gualdi from the City of Bologna. He's coordinating the European and International Projects Unit, and Hanna Mayrhofer with the project lead in Linz with Ambition 3XN. I'm very happy that they have joined us for this session and very eager to learn more about their presentations. This would be my cue to hand over to Miles for his presentation, and I think he'll be sharing his screen. So I will stop with mine and Miles would start sharing his.
Hi, yes. Hi, hello, everyone, and thank you for being here and the interest in SALUS Space. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, SALUS Space is a very complex reality in Bologna, and I would like to start by saying what it was before the urban intervention that transformed it. It was originally a healthcare facility, a private healthcare facility established in the 1930s, and it was operational until the 1990s when it was closed, and it was gifted to the municipality by the family owning it. But for about 30 years, it was left on 20 years, actually more 20 years. It was left unused, and it became a problematic place. It still is located in the outskirts of the city, so not in a central position. The whole facility was crumbling down. It became a center for squatting and drug dealing. It was a complicated place in the city. So, what was it transformed into? It is transformed into a collaborative, multifunctional community hub um, based on generative welfare. We will see what we mean by that, and mainly providing social housing, cultural activities, and services to the community. So, how was this possible? It was possible through a European program, the Urban Innovative Action, um, which is the parent program of what now is called EUI, the European Urban Initiative. And it was financed in 2016. uh, the project was supposed to end in 2020, but due to COVID, it was prolonged for a whole year. It ended in 2021. The total budget for the project was uh, a little under 6,250,000 euros. Uh, but the expenses actually rose a lot. But this was the budget of the project financed by the program, and 80% of it was funded by the European Commission. So this is a map of what um, the area looks like right now. There's what we call the residential building, which is the big one you see in the upper right hand of the area. And then there's the historical building right next to it. There are gardens and orchards. So let's see what the features of this place are. So the main feature is the building you see at the end of this picture. It's a new construction. It houses 20 apartments, and a hostel. So the 20 apartments are social housing, but they're not for free. People pay a rent to live in them, stabilized rent. Either they themselves or the organization supporting them. There are some apartments that are dedicated to refugees and asylum seekers, who are usually sponsored either by state programs or private programs that pay the rent for them. Everyone living there has to sign a charter of values, which are the values of the community of SALUS Space, which was actually written in a collaborative manner by the first uh, the first occupants of the building. And the model is a collaborative living. So people are encouraged, not required, but encouraged to dedicate some of their spare time to the life of the community, maintenance, taking care of the place, participating in common activities, etc. There is a co-working space that provides training activities, and it also has like a small conference area which is rented out. And all around it, there are urban gardens, which have three main purposes. They are productive gardens for fruit and vegetables that are either used locally by a restaurant that is located right in SALUS Space, or they are sold in a farmer's market that takes place weekly in the area. There are recreational gardens that are open to the whole neighborhood. So also people not living in SALUS Space can participate in taking care of the recreational gardens. And then there are some what we call instruction gardens that are for schools nearby to visit and take care for educational purposes. Other two big features are SALUS Space as a culture hub. You can see in one of the picture that there is an open air theater. So there are cultural workshops, events, and creative activities taking place in SALUS Space, and public services. What I mean by that is not managed by public institutions, but open to the overall public. So there's a restaurant in the area, which I mentioned, also uses the produce from the productive gardens. There's a hostel, there's a farmer's market, there's a second-hand market, and as I mentioned before, co-working spaces and conference spaces that can be rented out. What is most innovative, I think, is the governance model. So how is this place run? There is a collaborative governance model. The whole place is run by a temporary association, what is in the Italian law is called temporary association of I can't think of a good legal translation, but it's a group of subjects that can be private and public that create an association to manage a specific project. So there are local NGOs, cooperatives. There is the municipality, of course, which is the owner of the premises, associations that create a board that manages the activities, rents out the places, takes care of the maintenance, collects the rent and the fees, etc. The board is participated by two representatives of the residents, the people living in the residential building. The municipality of Bologna has a supervisory role, but is not directly involved in the day-to-day management of the facility. This is up to the board of the temporary association and the manager that is charged by it to manage the whole system. And as I mentioned before, the decision-making process includes resident. The other big innovative feature is that is designed as a generative welfare system. So the main how can I say, the main focus for the resources employed and for the space dedicated within the hub is social housing. But the public funding of it is gradually decreasing over time. And the idea is that sustainability is ensured by the activities that are run within the hub that must provide the resources, the economic resources for the whole system. So the restaurant, the hostel, the farmers market, renting the conference center and the co-working places. All these activities generate an income for the hub that in time must cover all the expenses so that the public investment can gradually decrease. This is the key for real sustainability that goes beyond public engagement that can vary given political trends. Unfortunately, we know that. And it also creates a system where income is reinvested into community services. This was my presentation. I kept it short because I wanted to grant some time for questions, but I know that there is a separate breakout room. But anyway, this is my presentation. For any question, any doubt you might have that is not covered in the breakout room, in the presentation, you can find my email and telephone number, and I'm at your disposal.
Thank you very much for that presentation. And yes, as you mentioned, there will be an opportunity for participants to ask more questions and follow up with your presentation in the breakout rooms. So concluding your presentation, it's now Hanna Mayrhofer who will present for the City of Linz, and I think Tiana will be sharing the screen. So it should load momentarily, and there we've got it. I'll mute myself now, and Hanna, you've got the floor.
Perfect, thank you. Hello everyone from Austria, from the city of Linz. My name is Hanna and I work in the city administration in the Department of Economy and Innovation, and I'm happy to give you some insights into innovative approaches to sustainable housing today. In Linz, there live 213,000 citizens on 100 square kilometers, which makes us the third largest city in Austria. And what makes our city unique regarding housing is that because we have many large industries, we also have lots of social housing, originally for the workers' family. So to give you a better picture of it, you can press one more. No, back, sorry. Yes, so that's perfect. You can see the Danube flowing from north to south through the city, and the left part of it, that's dark red and white, it's all industry. So a huge part of Linz is covered by industry. So you get a better picture of it. And so that you get a feeling for Linz, I'm happy to share with you on the next slide our video from iCapital, where we received the second place for Rising Innovative City.
From steel to digital, evolving from its industrial roots into a vibrant hub of innovation, Linz is a place where citizens, creatives, engineers and scientists merge to create something extraordinary. Room for citizen-centered innovation. Room for urban production. Room for art, science and technology. Room for tomorrow. Linz is turning bold ideas into reality. reshaping our city and a future full of promise. Shaping our future together. From steel.
Slide. Thank you. Perfect. So moving forward to the topic of today, to break down sustainable housing, I will focus on some of these aspects today, because housing from a city's perspective reaches from providing affordable and high quality living spaces to green mobility, renewable energy supply, and so much more. So let's dive into some best practices in the city of Linz. In the 1980s and 90s, in Linz, we had a very high demand for housing with 12,000 people searching for homes. And at the same time, a lot of workers were living outside the city and only came inside the city to work. So the city of Linz reacted and developed the solar city, which was then built and finished by 2005. Solar City provides 1,300 apartments, all from non-profit housing associations. So homes with low rent for 4,000 residents. All of those buildings were constructed in low energy standard, providing high quality comfort while also reducing the energy demand for heating, etc. So the additional costs for living are as low as possible. And in addition, at least 1/3 of the hot water demand is covered by their own solar energy, which we can see a bit on the bottom picture, some of the panels, while the rest is supplied through district heating. Also in Solar City, there were built extensive green spaces and a water management system for rainwater infiltration and recreation for the people living there. It is a mixed-use neighborhood with schools, childcare, health services, community facilities, and much more. And also there's great public transportation connections there. And all of those things I listed are within walking distance. And this innovative approach has won multiple awards and is considered a best practice in Europe. Another project I brought for you today is a great example of urban densification and sustainable inner city housing development called Wohnen am Weidinger Bach. Here, the non-profit Housing Association of Linz, the GWG Linz, built 63 new flats on top of an already existing local supply center. So they, of course, needed to strengthen the fundaments and the construction of the existing building for 3 times the originally built live load. So they were able to build a 3-level house of timber on top of it. For the people living there, they enjoy short ways to public transport as it is right outside of the supply center, and of course short ways to all the supermarket, medical stores, etc. that were already there. From those 2 best practices that have been built in the last years, we will now move forward to 2 successful initiatives that we are working on right now. First, our reuse initiative for circularity in the building sector to reinforce the dialogue and project development. So it started with a first congress in the year 2024, which was kind of the kick-off, with 150 experts from the construction industry, public administration, civil society, and much more. And after the first Congress, many of the organizations where the experts came from, they started partnering up with us. So now we are 13 partners in this reuse initiative. And between those partners, we had 60 working meetings on different topics in the field of circularity in the building sector. And after we had, no, one back, please. Sorry if I nodded. Thank you. And then we had a second Congress last year at the end of 2025 with over 250 experts and more than 20 best practices. So this really shows us that there is big interest also from the economy in this field right now. One best practice regarding circularity in the building sector is our pilot project WIC, where we did social urban mining, which I can highly recommend. So for those of you who don't know what social urban mining is, it is the use-oriented dismantling work with the support of social economy enterprises. So in this case, and the old window construction company, which you can see on the top picture, was bought from another company. And large parts of the building were reused, but some changes were required. So in the first step, the materials were analyzed to identify reusable materials and recyclable materials. And after those reusable materials were identified, there followed selective deconstruction with social enterprises, creating employment opportunities for people with limited access to the labor market. And after that, the carefully dismantled materials, such in this case, the historic wooden floors, the stair railings, windows and doors were reused in other buildings. And last but not least, our pioneer city project, Linz with Ambition. It is a partnership between the federal ministry and the 10 biggest cities in Austria to work together towards climate neutrality. And this is actually the first time in Austria for a partnership between these two governance levels and creates a strong alliance. So the partnership builds on two pillars. One, the strategic collaboration contributing to comprehensive climate mainstreaming, because both sides gain valuable insights into the decision-making processes of the other partner, into the obstacles and opportunities. And this knowledge really helps to shape the policies and structures in a more effective way. And the second pillar is the financial resources, because all the 10 cities, the 10 biggest cities in Austria, we each received 2 million euros. And with the 2 million euros, Linz was able to build up 7 experts in different organizations working on local implementations in Frankviertel, which is a typical worker district in Linz. And what really drives this project is that we built up those 7 experts in different organizations, so 3 people in the city administration, but also 3 at the energy supplier of Linz, and 1 at a non-profit housing association. And so they all have different views and expertise working on those challenges together from their perspective. And what exactly does the team work on? One example is that we expand the district heating on site, as you can see on the left picture, on the upper left picture. Last year, we also asked the citizens, which you can see on the upper right picture, where they want new shared bike stations to be installed. And now in the next few months, they will be installed where the citizens wanted them to be. And also we work on many more topics, which I'm happy to give more insights into in the breakout session. So as the time is running fast and we can dive into the projects a bit deeper in the deep dive. And in addition, I also brought slides of our climate neutrality concept, with which we won an Austrian Administration Award 2023, and 2 more examples of what the city can do to take action resulting in sustainable housing. So thank you, and happy to hear your questions and dive deeper in the breakout sessions.
Thank you very much, Hanna, for that very insightful presentation. My colleague Tiana will now open up the breakout rooms. And so that will take a few seconds. Just bear with us. And you'll then be able to select which breakout room you'd like to join. They'll be written according to the cities, so either City of Linz or City of Bologna, which you'll be able to choose. I think everyone's slowly coming back from the breakout sessions. Let's give it a few seconds before we proceed with wrapping up this session. So as you can see, we are approaching the end of our webinar. And I would kindly ask Tiana to summarize the breakout session that she was having with the City of Bologna. And I will proceed to summarize the breakout session with the City of Linz with Hanna Mayrhofer.
Thank you. It was, I would say, quite productive, at least for me, as I took Milas a bit hostage to discuss more on the project logistics. We were discussing more on how the project came about and the deliberation around which organizations were involved, and the fact that it was not transnational cooperation, which it was a very surprise for me to see, but it was a very localized oriented project. And then we proceeded to discuss a bit about the leases that came with the housing, the exchanges every 2 years with different families and the communities that are in fact attached to this neighborhood, as well as mostly on how do you manage or mitigate any sort of conflicts or disagreements when it comes within the communities. We also discussed a bit on the accessibility and how the residency is not quite attached to the city, but it's actually the other way around, where city people do tend to come more to the neighborhood as they have a lot of activities around that area. And yeah, I hope I'm not missing too much. If the participants here are from the breakout room, you're more than welcome to also jump in.
Thank you very much, Tiana, for sharing a few summaries on your session. And I think with the City of Linz, with Hanna, we discussed quite a few things. It was really interesting and very productive. And we spoke about, as you mentioned as well, accessibility in social housing, defining social housing policy, as well as the challenge that more flats are needed, and how to provide these flats. We also touched upon the partnerships, also the mission partnership with the Innovation in Politics Institute that the City of Linz has, climate neutrality concept. And very interestingly, the city of Linz had this project where they went to schools and in order to teach young students and create awareness about climate neutrality, the Climate Fund, so the projects that the city of Linz is conducting, they came with Legos and students were asked to rebuild a house based on climate neutrality concepts, which rebuild it with Legos, which I found a very interesting approach, very tangible. But please do correct me, Hanna, if I'm not stating this correctly. So that would be it from the breakout sessions. I would ask you all to please share your thoughts with us. So you can do this either by scanning this QR code. If you scan the QR code, you will be brought to the Mentimeter the page where you can describe in 3 words what you learned about this during this webinar. Or you can also answer one of these 3 questions that we've got here. What resonated most with you today? Which practice could inspire your city? What topic should the next webinar explode? Should the next, sorry, that's supposed to say webinar, explore next. And obviously your feedback, regardless of whether you choose the Mentimeter one or answering one of these questions, it helps us shape the next webinar. So feel free to type in the chat or scan the QR code. And Tiana will share the screen so we can see what kind of responses are coming in. So we can see that 7 people have scanned the QR code. I think others might be answering the questions in the chat. So that funding is essential and that the webinar was interesting and inspiring. And you can keep adding your thoughts and describe your takeaways. The page will still be open even if the presentation is not sharing, I think. But we can give it a few more minutes. So that there's a common goal. Again, insightful. You can see more responses are coming in. So we've got quite a few responses here, which is really great. These will also be published on the website once we upload the recording of this session and the presentations of both presenters. This will take a little bit of time, but it should be there within the next couple of weeks. You can see more responses are coming in. So we've got a very nice collection, and I'm really glad that so many of you enjoyed it and found this webinar interesting and inspiring. I did as well. I think, Tiana, you can stop sharing your screen and we'll move on to the very last slide. Namely here. What's happening next? We've got the next webinar planned in June. The topic will be on gender. There has no specific date has been announced or speakers yet, but stay tuned for further details. We will be in touch about this in a couple of weeks following this. On a very last note, you can still sign up to become part of the European City of the European Capital of Democracy Citizens Jury. So by scanning this QR code, you can join the jury and become a citizens juror, and the selection for European Capital of Democracy 2027 finished. However, the Innovation in Politics Awards will open their selection period. So by joining the citizens jury, you can be a part of selecting the most innovative projects across Europe. So please take a moment and scan the QR code and join the citizens jury. We'd love to have you. If you haven't managed to scan the QR code and you'd still be interested in joining the citizens jury, or if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me under this email address, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. That's it from us. Thank you very much for participating in this webinar. Thank you very much to our speakers, Miles and Hanna. We really appreciate that you took the time and shared these best practices with us. And thank you to all of you for participating and for all the questions that you've asked regarding these best practices. Thank you very much. We look forward to continuing the conversation, and stay tuned for the next webinar. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.